introduction to research, you can see on the slide here that research is one of the most interesting features of any degree course. Maybe even if you do an MBA or you do a PhD. And why it is interesting is because it gives you control, it gives you autonomy to learn and what you have learned and how you are going to use that knowledge. That is the importance of what research is and why it is important for us as academicians at this stage. It gives you an opportunity to confirm, to clarify, to pursue, or even to discover the new aspects of a subject or a topic which you are interested in finding out or you are trying to study it more in detail. Right? So research is basically a process of inquiry and investigation. It is systematic, methodological and ethical. Ethical is very important because you have already been given a lecture on plagiarism, and that becomes very important these days, and it is very important for you therefore to study and understand what exactly research is, so that you can bring up something which is pure, which is innovative, which is something your own, and you say that yes, I have done it. This is your work. So research, the purpose behind doing research is that it solves a problem. Now why would you be doing a PhD? Because there is a problem, right? You have to achieve something and there is a hindrance, and doing a PhD is going to solve your problem. And then you can move ahead. So that is the essence of research, no matter whatever area, whatever subject, whether be it sciences, whether be it social sciences, whether be it management, economics or agribusiness, research finds its scope in every area. And you as research scholars doing your PhD program, you can well understand the kind of control and autonomy, how it is important for you. Because you are going to collect data, you are going to identify certain things, you are going to bring out something new to this world and put forward. Hence it becomes very, very interesting. To understand further, there are so many views which have been given forward by many theorists, many experienced people, and I have compiled a lot of definitions about research, so that from different aspects, when you understand what research is, then is it where you can start your work. So here you have that research, it attempts to find answers to intellectual and practical questions. Something which relates to intellect, you discover something new. Practical questions, things which are happening around. So people in the area of management and social sciences, in the area of economics, they observe phenomena which are happening around in your environment. Certain things keep changing. There are certain causes, there are certain factors which affect certain events. To understand that part, and through the application of systematic methods, this is very important. So research is not just finding out, but the use of systematic method to get data and convert that data into information. I hope everybody is very clear about the difference between data and information. Data are simply raw facts. They are just numbers. You can have quantitative data or you can have qualitative data. But we put qualitative data, we try to find out a way to put in numbers and then we try to analyze. So once that data that has been collected, we process it. We process it in a manner that you can understand something and you can take a decision. Then it becomes information for you. When you are in a position to decide with the help of whatever data has been collected, that becomes information. Now Webster's Collegiate Dictionary defines research as it has been given here. It is the studious inquiry or examination or experimentation attained at the discovery and interpretation of facts, revision of accepted theories or laws in the light of new facts, or practical application of such new or revised theories or laws. Now here every word becomes very important, that it is a studious inquiry or examination, whether be it the area of medicine, whether be it the area of management, commerce, economics. Research is a studious inquiry. You need to study. You need to study phenomenon. You need to study various aspects. You need to study why prices in the market are fluctuating. You need to study what is the cause of a particular disease. So it is a studious inquiry or examination, special investigation or experimentation. Now here this word experimentation is important. This is largely used in the area of pure sciences and medical sciences, that experiments are conducted, and through which, even in social sciences, there would be certain psychological tests and behaviors which are tested. So we can even conduct certain experiments even in social sciences areas also, which have an aim to discover and interpret the facts that exist, which are hidden, which are not known to us, or which are known. It says revision of accepted theories. Certain theories are already established. We need to review them, that whether they are true in today's time, because with passage of time human race has changed. With passage of time human race has traveled a long distance in terms of technology. There has been a long development, a huge development in the human race. And if you have been reading your books and recall books from your primary time, how the human race has developed, brains have become very fast. Even in today's times, if you see the younger children, their processing speed and our processing speed is very, very different. So the revision of accepted theories, certain theories which were developed say 50 years or 100 years back, whether they are relevant in today's times or not. The theories, especially in the area of finance, they keep changing. Has there been a change today or not? And with the invent or with the coming of the cryptocurrency, what will be the impact on the share market? What will be the impact on various other commodities? All this is a new emerging area. So till now there were certain theories which were restricted only to the stock market. How relevant will those theories be with the advent of cryptocurrency, because something new has come in today, right? So we are not only we are revising the accepted theories or laws in the light of new facts, new things coming up, new technology has come up. How has it impacted various kinds of treatments of diseases? There are certain diseases which were considered to be very big, but nowadays it's small tablets only treat you from those diseases, right? So theories keep changing with passage of time, with technology and other advancements, certain environmental factors changing, or practical application of such new or revised theories or laws. So research has a huge, vast scope and areas where it can venture to. Now research can be seen as a movement. I hope you understand movement, not the physical movement, but as a huge movement of thoughts and process that goes on. A movement from the known to the unknown. What you know today and what you do not know, you're going to try to find out something. So it is basically, we can say it is like a voyage of discovery. We are going on a voyage, a long distance you have to travel in search of something new. And each one of us possesses the vital instinct of inquisitiveness. Basically, we are all very inquisitive creatures. Something pops up on your mobile on Google and we want to just see what has come up. We are trying to do something. There has been a stimulus and we are reacting to it. We are trying to find out what happened. So we are inquisitive. On a daily basis, if you have to make a purchase, you try to find out. You wish to purchase a new mobile set, you will visit all kinds of websites, try to evaluate the prices. So we are doing research. We are inquisitive people, and whenever we come across something unknown, we think, we question ourselves, we ponder over it, and our inquisitiveness makes us probe and attain full and fuller understanding of the unknown. So you are able to decide upon which mobile set you need to purchase, what will be the configuration, what pricing, will it match your requirements, what are the additional features, can it be attached to your laptop, can it do certain other activities, whether you can have your financing balance balance sheet to be seen on your laptop, whether can you view it. So there are so many things you try to inquire and find out. That is unknown, you're trying to find out, and that is what is research. Research, we say it is an academic activity. Obviously for us, it is an academic activity, and we use this term in a technical sense. Now, Clifford Woody, this name is very important when we are doing research methodology. This person has given a very, very detailed definition, a very exhaustive one, which incorporates every aspect, right? So Clifford Woody has given research comprises defining and redefining the problems, formulating hypotheses or suggested solutions, collecting, organizing and evaluating data, making deductions and reaching conclusions, and at last carefully testing the conclusions to determine whether they fit the formulating hypothesis. That it is not only that we are trying to find out what we had decided. We formulated a problem, we collected data. You've done this research process yesterday, so I'm just quickly going through that part. And we collect, organize, and then you evaluate, and we try to reach some conclusion. Now this conclusion which you have reached, this needs to be tested. Whether it fits the formulated hypothesis, where we started from, does it match? Does it verify the assumption we had made? What is it that we were trying to study? We were trying to study whether mobile brand X or whether mobile brand Y, which one is better, or X is better than Y. That is what my assumption, and I tried to search certain features, and then I concluded that no, Y is a better deal. So does it match? So I say the assumption was wrong. You need to validate your hypothesis. That is what is an essential part of your research. Now the same thing has been given by D. Stainer and M. Stephenson in the Encyclopedia of Social Sciences, where he has defined research as the manipulation of things, concepts or symbols for the purpose of generalizing to extend, correct or verify knowledge. Correct knowledge and verify knowledge. In the prehistoric times, people had this notion that the sun goes down and the sun comes up, right? That was a theory. But with passage of time, with advent of technology, or with the human race developing more, we have now understood it is not that the sun comes up, it is the earth which is rotating. So we are verifying the theories, we are verifying the facts which were there. Do they exist in today's times or not? It is an original contribution to the existing stock of knowledge. Now whatever information we are collecting, that information is validated, and then it becomes knowledge. That is the entire purpose of doing research. We are trying to generate more and more knowledge. So we say that even the research is the pursuit of truth with the help of study, observation, comparison and experimentation. So 4 things that we can do ahead with research is that you can merely observe and do things, you can study aspects, you can compare certain events, and you can perform experiments to study the behavior of certain variables. And in short, the search for knowledge through objective and systematic method of finding solution to a problem. So we are trying to identify problems. How we are going to solve that problem? Where is the gap that is lying? How can that be filled? That also you have to find out through study, through analysis. And then you formulate a theory. So the systematic approach concerning generalization and the formulation of theory is also research. That is, we try to generalize certain things, and when you generalize, it becomes into a theory, right? So that also becomes research. So establishing a new theory, revising a new theory, doing experimentation, trying to study the relationship between variables. What happens when this happens, right? So again, another person has suggested that research refers to systematic method consisting of enunciating the problem. So everywhere there is a problem. problem. Now this problem is a very, very important part. When you are starting your PhD, problem identification becomes very important because you have to identify the correct problem in the correct manner, and that is what we are going to do today further. Formulating a hypothesis, collecting the facts or data, analyzing the facts. Now this is the same thing, reaching certain conclusions, you find out solutions, and then you generalize them. You need to validate and then say, okay, that this is true for all. Research is what we find in our everyday lives. I have already given you an example about the mobile phones, but there is something extra over here which might be of interest to you. The result of research on many topics you can find when you are reading newspapers, you are reading magazines, you are watching the television, and something which has overpowered all these media is the internet, the Google which you have in hand all the time. Something very interesting that if somebody is a very person who's very health conscious, wants to find out about eating healthy, then what do? You try to see what different experts in this particular area have said. You try to study about what other people have said, person X, person Y, person Z, somebody who's an advisor to a Bollywood film star regarding the diet and all, and somebody who's a nutritionist in a big hospital. So these are people who are experts in that particular area, and we try to see what they have suggested. We try to collect that data and we try to see what fits for us, because they would give certain things in general, but as an individual, what would suit me, what kind of meal pattern will suit me, whether a non-vegetarian diet or a vegetarian diet, and then you find something for yourself. Now whatever conclusion comes down, right, may be acceptable to you, may not be acceptable to you for various reasons. Certain types of meals require lot of work to arrange, like you have to make them, prepare them, and you don't have that kind of time, so you can't follow that particular regime. Somebody suggests a different regime which requires that you need to spend more on that. Maybe it is not allowing your pocket, you may go away with that, but it is not that your research has gone waste. You've gained knowledge, you pass on some information to somebody, okay, because of this reason this could not be followed by me. Now there is a gap. It was proving to be heavy on your pocket, so this is a problem. Something should match your pocket, and there is what has given you a chance to do another research. कि अब आप ऐसा regime ढूंढिए जो आपकी pocket को suit करे. So problems will give you ways to find out, to follow your topic or identify where you should lead to. Now, whatever information you gather, that has to be assessed. So we assess the information which we are presented, we form an opinion, and to validate and to find the relevance of the research, and also the conclusions which are based upon our research. What we do, we follow the following points. We understand what is the question or what is the problem to be answered. Now my problem is that the regime which has been advised or which I have been formulated is not suiting my pocket, or maybe certain ingredients which have been recommended, I am allergic to that. So you need to find out an option, right? So we have understood the question and what is the problem that has to be answered, that has been identified. How the findings are presented, how is it that we are going to collect information and present them. So we identify 4 experts, from them you pick up and choose and cut, copy and paste in your place somewhere, and then you try to do what? Why the research is being conducted, why is it we are doing it? Your purpose is because the particular ingredients, you are allergic to them. So that was the purpose. We try to identify what are the other ingredients which will not suit you, or which ones you can separate or you can interchange. What we know about who conducted the research. Earlier, how is it that people are telling that this is good for you? They have conducted research, they are the experts. So you will rely on the experts, what they have said. So even if you are in the area of marketing, you would rely upon something which has been said by Philip Kotler rather than any author that you might get. He's the most trusted and reliable person, because an expert in that particular area. What other people think about the information and how the references that you see, that how good the person has been, to reinforce that yes, you are on the right track, the right people have recommended, the recommendations would be correct. The research findings relate to us. Do these findings relate to me? Yes, they have been related because you have a particular reason to collect this information. We may choose to ignore the information. As I said, that a regime which we had found out, there were ingredients which were not suiting you. So we went on another type of research, how to find a replacement. So it is not necessary that you have to accept all the information. You may choose to ignore the information. We may decide we don't understand, or it is not acceptable to us what the findings mean. We may disagree for various kinds of reasons. Maybe certain circumstances don't allow us to follow the particular decision. Maybe you can either adjust your eating habits or decide that the cost is too high, I cannot go away with it, do ahead with it. So that is how basically we are trying to find out where is the question, where is the problem that has to come up, where we have to go ahead for research. Then what makes research scientific? In one of the places previously in one of the slides we must have studied, it is a scientific method, a systematic study. So research is scientific. How do we say that it is scientific? We place special emphasis on the process of the research and the rigor with which it is carried out. Like what kind of energy you are putting it, and you are doing it very particularly, you don't make any deviations, and that is why it becomes scientific. This distinguishes scientific research from other forms of inquiry. The research is why this is happening, what is happening. So it is just like a policeman trying to go at a crime scene and asking questions. That is also research. But that is a different type of a research. When it is scientific, then there is a proper method, a step-by-step procedure, and a constraint within which you have to work. It is not that just haywire things go. So the scientific method is one by which the knowledge is created. Although it is not the only way that we understand our world around, it is not that only by scientific methods that are there that we try to understand. There are three other methods. This is just for general information that I am sharing you with. The authoritarian method of understanding your environment, the species, which would depend upon largely upon the kind of people that are there in the environment, what is their thought process, how they behave, how they react, the kind of knowledge you could collect from there. Or knowledge could even be sourced from mystical sources, such as from the supernatural world. Sort of theories are there amongst people. Certain theories still don't find a scientific validation, but still they exist in people's mind. Rationalistic, that is within the school of rationalism, knowledge can be derived from the rules of logic and without reference to the empirical world. Empirical world where you are able to count certain things. And scientific research depends upon certain important points. Reliability, that is very important, that if you do a particular study, if you do a research, somebody else does it the same way, that person should also get the same answer. That is, replication is possible. That is what is scientific research about. Replication and also reliability. When the study is repeated, the words are, in other words, we say it is measured, used, reliable and consistent, and if one goes back and repeats the measurement in the same condition, it will give you the same result, that is reliability. Replication refers to the idea that the procedure employed in the study are reported in sufficient detail that a second researcher could repeat the study. That means you give each and every step in detail that is mentioned. Somebody else can do it again. And then we have validity, which is very important. This concerns the integrity of the conclusion. How valid your report is, what is the integrity, whether it is correct. So it is generated through a research study. There are number of issues which are raised with all these 3 points that we have here, reliability, replication and validity, the questions that are raised, does the measure employed accurately reflect the concept under investigation? यानी हमने रिसर्च करी तो है, इतनी मेहनत आपने करी, डेटा कलेक्ट करा, एनालाइज करा, does the measure employed, आपने जो मेथड ऑफ मेजरमेंट या डेटा कलेक्शन का करा, does it actually reflect the concept under investigation, the concept which you are going to study? You are going to study the relationship between the new breed of fertilizer, new breed of seeds and the agricultural yield. If you are trying to study this, does it really study? Is the causal relationship robust, that you can be sure that X is the cause of Y? That means in your research you will be dealing with variables. There would be independent variables, there would be dependent variables. So when an independent variable affects another, that is called the dependent variable. So whether there is a cause and effect relationship existing or not, can we identify that relation with the help of the entire research work that we have done? And lastly, can we be confident that we can extrapolate our findings beyond the research context? Research is done in a particular domain, right? You can restrict yourself. We do a sample survey and then we try to generalize. So are we in a position to generalize it for the entire population? Can we extrapolate it beyond a limit? That is what research is, scientific research is. Now let us answer, after understanding what is research, why research? Why should you be doing research? So there are several points which are important. The role of information research begins when we want to know something. Research is concerned with increasing our understanding, right? So you want to know something, so you're doing research. You want to increase your knowledge level. So it is, even if you are, you may be teachers in different subjects you may be dealing with, but if you take up a new book and you try to read, what is the purpose? You're trying to research, you are trying to rebuild your level of knowledge. You are at a particular level, you wish to go to the next level of knowledge. So that is also research, that is another purpose. It provides you with information and knowledge needed for problem solving and making decisions. The n number of problems are around and we need to solve all these problems, and that is what research helps us in. It's sometimes divided into pure or basic and applied research. So pure research and applied research, two different areas of research are there. In order to make a distinction between the research that is carried out for further knowledge and that which seeks to apply pre-existing knowledge to real world problems. Now when we talk of problem solving research, what are the different things that we can do? You can identify the problem, you can find the diagnose the cause, why this problem is there, identify the potential solutions that you can have, how a particular problem can be overcome. That is, you had a problem that your PhD is, you're not having a PhD certificate degree is not giving you progress in your career path. That was your problem, right? So identified the problem. Diagnose the cause. Why is it that you've not been able to do a PhD? Did you try for it? No. So what do you do next? You try to find a possible solution. You have to do a PhD. How do you do it? You try to search for forms. You try to get information from other people who've done their PhDs. How did you do it? What was the entrance procedure? What was the criteria? And then you start preparing for the entrance exam and you fill up forms in different universities which you think you will be able to manage with various kinds of limitations that everybody has. Decision for action. You found out that these are the places where the exams will be conducted and you fill in the forms. Monitor and evaluate the action and outcome. And how do you monitor and evaluate the action? It is the result which tells you, okay, where you have cleared. Right? So there was a problem, and to find a solution to that problem, you had worked hard. Whether you studied, even when you were studying for the entrance exam, you were doing research, you were upgrading your knowledge. you are trying to seek more and more information that would be required in your subject, or maybe in the paper of research methodology, or whatever the syllabi was given to you, that this would be the area from where you could be asked questions. Now, if research is done for policy making, for problem solving, that was just a basic example that I gave you. There would be other areas. Problem solving will have lot of examples. When we talk about policy making, suppose there is some kind of research required by the government to make certain policies for, in general, for the people of the country, then what kind of research functions they would have? They would describe, to provide a baseline data or simply a picture of how things are. First, you need to know what is the exact status. So if we talk about poverty, so if the government has to do something about alleviating the removing or making the living standard better of the people living in villages, they need to understand where exactly the current situation is. What is their occupation, or what is the earning of people? How many people are living below the BPL or the below poverty line, right? You need to know that. An explanation or an analytical to understand why things are the way they are. उसका कॉज तो पता करें, रीजन क्या है कि वो अभी भी एक पर्टिकुलर लेवल पर ही है. What factors explain the way things are, right? And then you try to predict how systems will change under alternative scenarios. We try to create models, right? Models and all you must have studied in economics or even in management. And then we try to predict how the system can change, because you know that the situation is because of these factors. So whether a factor should be removed, or whether a new factor should be introduced, whether you should give subsidy, whether you should give free ration, how much expenditure would that incur to the government? All these things will have to be analyzed, and only then a decision could be made. Prescription and planning. So final decision making comes when you try to predict. We try to find out models. Okay, this is what has to be done. The government of India did. During the pandemic, they said, okay, for the poor people, they are going to provide ration for. It was not an easy task. And it is not just that you announce one day and everything is done. It has to be, a thorough study has to be done, that how much arrangement will have to be made. How will it be made? What will be the capital expenditure on that? Where will that money come from? How will you reach it? And how will that reach down to the lowest level or the person concerned with? Right? So, lot of explanation, lot of prediction. Then, once it has been decided, prescription and planning that relate to change in the existing system, how the changes will take place. Right from everything was on paper, changing it to the digital mode did not happen overnight. It was a small process. Where we are, what are the factors affecting it, how many people are illiterate, what impact will digitalization have, that also needed to be studied. So for policy making decisions also, research is required, and these are the several ways in which we can take research when you have to formulate a policy. Where do these research ideas come from? They come from people like you, who are in search of, give me a problem I have to solve, right? So, but where does this research problem come from? So, ideas come from persons or professionals in your own area. When you are working, you find so personal or professional experience gives you a lot of ideas. On a personal basis, as I used an example that you want a particular diet regime, you're very health conscious, and listening and reading so much on the internet, you feel, okay, no, this is what is to be done, right? So you think that, okay, organically grown cereals and products and fruits and vegetables are good for health, right? So then you try to get an idea that how these and from where will you source all this organic material for your consumption. Okay, professional experience may say that if you are an environmentalist or you are in environment conservation, or you think about examples I've written here, that you think about butterflies, or you talk about birds and various kinds of things. So what kind of agricultural things should be promoted so that they provide food for these other animals and insects and birds. That could also be an area of research. Thinking as a professional, where you're trying to develop a new breed or a new a species, not a species cannot be developed, sorry. When you try to develop something new as a feed for these insects and birds that are there in the environment, that way you are thinking as a professional, as an environmentalist. But when you think on personal terms, what is required for you, then as a person you get so many kind of research ideas. The next would be research idea could be from theory, what we have discussed previously also. What theory is existing today, whether it is relevant or not. Has it been modified? Certain new factors which have come up, how do they affect this theory? Right? Earlier it was like the center of the earth is a molten material and it is all filled with metals and in the molten form. The latest research which NASA gives, it says the inside of the earth is solid. It is not only molten material. So there was a theory, and with research, with new things coming in, new studies being done, we've got something new. So theory which was existing, there must have been some reason, they must have found something which gave them a thought that no, you need to restudy again. So that means there is some change in the theory. So the theories are ideas, how things relate to each other. Theories may be general, common held beliefs, like what we can say even in today's times, that since these mobile towers have come up and they are studied all over the city, the small birds which were found in our houses, the sparrows, they are extinguished. It is very rare to find them. Hardly you would see those sparrows here. So this is a theory that it is because of them. Now, is it really because of them? Could be a problem area. You could identify this as a problem for research. Try to establish a cause and effect relation over here. Or is there some other reason? Are there some other changes that are taking place? Right? Then another could be like a technical idea that you have, that global warming is causing a change in the timing of the seasonal responses of the flowering cherry tree in Kashmir Valley. So all these trees, the natural flora and fauna that we have, it is being affected by the climate change that is taking place. So a technical, somebody with a technical background, especially from the area of agriculture, would be thinking about this only, that there is a theory that global warming is causing a change in the timing of seasonal cherry tree, because we find that these trees, they are not found everywhere. They are only found in the cold regions. Cherry is a very sweet fruit. I hope everybody knows about it. Found only in the places where there's a lot of snow and it remains very cool throughout. So largely in the Kashmir Valley we have these cherry trees, or maybe in the Uttarakhand where you have all these mountainous ranges where the temperature is very low. There you find these trees. So this could be very specific. Now here they have said only the Kashmir Valley. Now we are restricting. We are not talking in general about anywhere and everywhere. We are just talking about one area, that whether global warming is affecting or not. So that was, the earlier was a common belief, and here you have certain technical things which can be used. So there are many ways of expressing theories. Some are formal, some are informal. And we can also say the idea that distance learners have different needs than on campus students. This is also a theory. We need to validate whether it is correct or not, and we have experienced this during the pandemic, that online and offline had to be treated in a very different manner. And there are different requirements for offline, different requirements for students when they are studying on an online mode. So these theories are there, we can validate in present times. What can be the problems, what can be associated problems for that? That is what. So you can find a research idea by a mere hunch, maybe an instinct which tells you, a gut feeling, your sixth sense tells you that an example here has been given, that there are two particular strains of maize which will produce a more drought tolerant variety. This could be just a mere hunch. Scientific experiment hai कि ऐसा लगता है ऐसा हो जाएगा, and then you conduct the experiment and try to find out. maybe you succeed, your hunch is correct, or maybe you don't get the exact result what you were looking for, but still you've been able to identify, yes, this will not work. So your final conclusion will be. So no research goes in vain. You conclude something. So the end result of every kind of research process is knowledge. So even if what we were trying to study, the two May's qualities, if you try to find a new strain, it will be drought resistant. अगर ऐसा नहीं भी होता तो हमको ये तो नॉलेज हो गई ना कि ये एक्सपेरिमेंट करने से या ये जो स्ट्रेन्स हैं इनको मिलाने से भी कोई फायदा नहीं है. So there is addition to knowledge in the research process. Now the purpose of research. So there we have discussed so many things, the same points coming up again, but they have been summarized by Collis and Hussey in the year 2003 when they discussed about research. And in one of the papers they have mentioned, so I have put up these points here, that the purpose of research is to review or synthesize existing knowledge, this we've discussed, investigate existing situations or problems, provide solutions to problems, explore and analyze more general issues, construct or create new procedures or systems, and explain new phenomenon, generate new knowledge, and it could be a combination of more than one of these. The purpose of research could be much more than one single purpose over here. You could have two, you could have more. Okay? And next is the objective of research. Now the purpose of research and the objective of research, do they mean the same or are they different? Purpose and objective. The purpose is why you're doing it. Objective is the goal which you try to achieve, right? So what is the goal that we try to achieve when you are doing research is over here. You try to gain familiarity with a phenomenon or to achieve new insights into it. The studies with this object in view are termed as exploratory or formulative research studies. Now the different types of researches that are conducted, we try to club them in different ways based upon their objective. What is it? How you are going to achieve that goal? So you have exploratory or formulative research. Then you have descriptive research, where you try to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual or situation. Descriptive means to describe the event, the individual or the action or the phenomenon in detail, each and every aspect. So even if it is a consumer profile you are trying to create for people who eat Kit Kat chocolates, that becomes a descriptive study. We are trying to describe the consumer behavior. Okay? And the next is to test a hypothesis of a causal relationship between variables. Such type of studies are called as hypothesis testing research studies. So what is the goal that we are trying to achieve? Whether we are trying to describe phenomenon or events, or we are trying to test a hypothesis, or we are trying to explore something. What is the goal that is there? That is meant by the objective of research. And something important which I as a student always wondered, research method, research methodology, method and methodology, what is the difference? Why is research and research methodology defined differently? That should be, there must be some difference. Do you agree there must be some difference? Or it's the same? There is a difference. Okay, good. So, so here we define the difference between research methods and research methodology. Research method are the small things that you do as a part of collecting data, using some kind of analysis technique, doing a correlation, or trying to find out, creating the regression equations or regression analysis, studying the causal phenomenon. They are called as research methods. So it says research methods may be understood as all those methods and techniques that are used for the conduction of research. So that is research method. Research method or techniques refer to the methods the researcher uses in performing research operations. So whatever work you are doing, the smallest of the tasks, they are the course of studying your research problem are termed as research methods. So what you are trying to study, that is termed as research method. And these research methods can be put into three groups. In the first, we include those methods which are concerned with the collection of data. These methods will be used where data is already available, but they are not sufficient enough to arrive at required solution. The second group consists of those statistical techniques which are used for establishing relationship between data and the unknowns. And the third group consists of those methods which are used to evaluate the accuracy of the results that you have obtained. You try to see how accurate your results are, whether your hypothesis is acceptable or it is not acceptable as per the data that has been collected. So the research methods which lie in group 2 and 3, they are usually taken as the analytical part, because here in the number 2 you are trying to establish relationship between the data, between the variables, and in the third one we are trying to evaluate the accuracy. So that is the analytical tools of research. And then we come to research methodology. This is a systematic method. This is a way to systematically solve your problem. The methods are different. For every research problem, methodology will change because your combination of methods is going to change. In a particular problem, you may use the questionnaire method to collect data, but in another problem, it is only merely by the observation method that you are going to collect data. So the methodology is automatically going to change. So methodology, research methodology is a way to systematically solve the research problem. It may be understood as a science of studying how research is done scientifically. In it, we study the various steps that are generally adopted by a researcher in studying his research problem, along with the logic behind them. That is very important here. It is necessary for the researcher to know not only the research method or the technique, but also the methodology. And you need also to know how to develop certain indices or tests, whether you are going to use the chi-square test, or whether you are going to do an ANOVA, or you are going to use the student's t-test. How will you calculate the mean, median, mode, or the standard deviation? All this thing you need to know. But along with that, you need to know that which of these methods or techniques are relevant to your problem. They are relevant to finding out solution to your problem, and which are not. What would they mean and what they would indicate and why? That is research methodology. So methods, which method will be suitable, where, why, when, and how can you get the best out of it, that will make research methodology. I hope with today's lecture this research method and research methodology, the basics are clear. There's something more reading that you can do on this slide, and I'll hand over a copy of this slide which you people can share if you missed on, if you wanted to note something, although these are very general. And the scope of research methodology is even wider than the research methods, because research methods have a smaller scope. Like data collection, the scope is only to collect maximum, most reliable and complete data. But research methodology ensures that it is there in entirety. Okay? So when we talk of research methodology, we not only talk of research methods, we consider the logic behind the methods we used in the context of our research, why we are using a particular method, and also explain why a particular method or technique and why we are not using others. This is you are using and this is not what you are using, so that the research results are capable of being evaluated either by the researcher or somebody else. So if you are reading research papers, if you have been reading research papers, then you would see that people write a research methodology. They give an introduction, and they all abstract is there, then an introduction, and then the research methodology. Now in the research methodology, they always mention why they are going to do a correlation study, why they are going to do an ANOVA. That logic is always given there. Apart from how you are going to collect data, what will be the sample, what will be the sample size, what will be the sampling technique, and why you are going to use a particular sampling technique, right? Whether will it be a probability sampling or whether will it be a non-probability, why? That why has to be answered to make it a complete research methodology. And scientific knowledge about the world is based upon empirical observations where you have a lot of numbers which you can try to summarize and try to evaluate or try to find relationship between variables based on whatever observations or numbers that have been collected. Observations are used to develop theory to help us describe, understand and predict how our world works. So all the areas that are there are inside our world, and observations are used to develop theories. That is what you are going to do. The procedures by which observations are gathered, evaluated and used to produce new knowledge are termed methodology. So if it is only methodology we say, then we can say the procedures by which observations are gathered, they are evaluated and used to produce new knowledge. They are termed as methodology. And research methodology are the rules and procedures by which knowledge is generated and shared. And lastly, the research process. This is how your research process is going to proceed, which I think has been discussed earlier also. The same steps, although you were given algorithm yesterday, these are the several steps which are there. Just for your knowledge sake, these will be discussed much in detail in the future lectures that will be there. Now, when we are trying to do research, I have always said try to find out the problem, try to find out the gap that is existing. How do you find out? When you will be reading research papers, it is not just whims and fancies. आज ये वाला research paper हमने पढ़ लिया. Why? You have to identify your subject, identify your domain. Related to it, identify one or two things that you would like to study. Go to Google Scholar, put in those words that you wish to study the relationship between the Sensex and the advent of the COVID vaccine. So you put in COVID vaccine and the relationship between Sensex, they would give you if some research has already been done or not. Now this is something very new because the pandemic was there very recent. So you will not find many research papers. That means there is a lot of scope to do work on this particular area. Right? Impact of the pandemic on the reading habit of children. Now you try to put this on Google Scholar and try to see who are the people. Has there been any kind of research work done? And when you get number of papers would be enlisted there, read them. For any, even when you are going to start your PhD, you will start writing your topic, you will have to identify, you need to at least read 150 to 200 papers to identify exactly what you are going to do. Why? Because your research has to be innovative. Something which comes to your mind, you have to check whether this has been done by somebody earlier or not. Because if it has been done by somebody earlier, then what is that you are contributing? So when you check something, the consumer behavior, impact of consumer behavior on the sales or on the mobile phones, if you try to study, this has been done by so many people. But still you want to do something. You want to study something on digital marketing. What exactly would you do? So then you put in on the Google and try to enlist those papers and then try to read. Now where is it that you will find out the gap? The gap you will find out when you are reading the abstract in the last few lines. When you will be reading the conclusion, or when you are reading, they give their recommendations. Recommendation for future scope. That is when we said that you are trying to find out there are two strains of a particular variety of cereal crop and we try to merge them and see it is more drought resistant. हमने एक experiment किया, fail हो गए. Research तो पूरी हुई ना, हमने उसमें एक scope of further research लिखा that these two varieties are not with this particular method. हो सकता है science में they have different methods of testing. So they used a particular method of testing that this method is not, it did not work with this method. So there is another method Y which is recommended. So maybe it is to be found with that. So when the recommendations are there, there are the places where you find the research gaps are still existing. So people who have done some work but they identify that as a part of my research something still is missing. अभी और इसमें काम हो सकता है. So they write in the recommendations. People write in their thesis also that future scope for research on this particular topic. There is the place where you will be able to identify from where to pick up your topic, and then for that also you need to again check, because today's times things have speeded up. Even time has started going much faster, it seems to me, because whatever was relevant 5 years back, today it has changed. Right, your computers become obsolete. For technical people, the computers become obsolete every year or maybe even 6 months. Right, so things keep changing. So you can't rely on very old time research. But yes, certain theories which are grounded theories, which are very basic in nature. They are ages old, 100 years old. So it is not that they will change. But in today's time, can we comment on that? Today's times, what are the impact that we need to study? This is how some of the ways which I could suggest you today, that how you can find out something new to do for your research. And if you wish to ask